Forget store bread. Not switch to whole wheat. Not buy artisan sourdough. Not read the label and count fiber grams. Those are modern answers to a modern problem. We are going further back. Forget the soft, square loaf in the plastic bag. The one that costs more every year. Tears apart when you spread cold butter. And somehow leaves you hungry again by mid-afternoon. The loaf that tastes the same in every city. The loaf that forgot it ever came from a kitchen. Before that loaf on the counter, there was another bread. Church bread. The loaf grandmothers carried out of fellowship halls and home kitchens. During the Great Depression, when money was tight and mouths were many. Raised slowly on Saturday, not bought on Wednesday. Not a trend. A contract. We open the vault today with one recipe from a church cookbook. That survived when fancy ingredients did not. A penny-wise church loaf that filled a house with smell. And stretched one meal into the next without a daily trip to the store. Stay with us through the full bake. If your grandmother kept a bread day, tell us in the comments what she made. We read every story. Picture a kitchen in 1938. Not a showroom. A worn table, a chipped enamel pan, 6 places set when only 4 chairs match. Lino on the floor. A calendar with a free day, circled for baking. The radio says prices are up again. Eggs are precious. Meat is for Sunday if you are lucky. Coffee is measured. Sugar is borrowed. But milk still arrives, and flour still comes in a paper sack. And yeast can be shared neighbor to neighbor on a spoon, wrapped in wax paper. Because everyone understood, if the yeast dies, the week dies with it. This is when church bread mattered. Not because someone on television called it a superfood. Because it used what you already had. Because scalded milk makes a tender crumb without spending eggs in the dough. Because one loaf becomes toast at breakfast, a heel in soup at lunch. Breadcrumbs under a casserole. And a slice with jam for the child who is still growing. Watch the weekly math. 1 bake on Saturday. Toast Sunday and Monday. Sandwiches midweek if there was filling. Thursday soup with the heel. Friday, if anything remained, croutons or bread pudding. Nothing thrown away, because waste was not a moral lecture, it was a mistake you could not afford. Families did not eat this bread to impress anyone. They ate it to stay steady. To feel full without a bakery bill. To turn the oven on once and eat from it for days while the factory. Loaf asked for another dime tomorrow. Store bread asks for your wallet every few days. This loaf asks for your patience once and gives you the whole week back. There is another difference you can see when you slice. Store bread is built for speed and shelf life. This bread is built for the people at the table. Close crumb. Soft crust. It goes stale, yes. Honestly, by Wednesday. But stale church bread becomes French toast, stuffing, and thickening for gravy. The store loaf goes stale and becomes trash. That is the wisdom we are not supposed to lose. Here is where our recipe lives. This is the card the church kitchen wrote down. When the hard years were still fresh. The Cookery Blue Book. A community church kitchen collection from San Francisco. Printed when kitchens still smelled of wood smoke and yeast, not marketing. Page after page of suppers for crowds, for potlucks. For widows cooking for 6 on a widow's budget. Not for influencers. For neighbors. The method we follow is the old scalded milk raised dough. The same lineage as Parker House rolls and Sunday pan bread in that book. Simplified into one humble loaf for the home table. They wrote it for hands, not machines. Look at the card on screen. Flour, milk, salt, sugar, butter, yeast, 6 lines. No mystery powders. No 17-syllable ingredients. No dough conditioner in a factory drum. This is the bread they wrote down, so the next generation would not have to guess. When the hard years return, set out 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of whole milk, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of soft butter, and 1 packet of active dry yeast. About 2¼ teaspoons if you measure from a jar. Clear a wide board. Grease a large bowl with a little oil or butter. Grease a 9 by 5 inch loaf pan. Set the oven rack to the center. You will preheat later, when the dough is almost ready. Not an hour early, wasting heat. You are not performing for a camera. You are continuing a chain. If this is your first loaf in years, say so out loud. The vault does not judge beginners. Pour the milk into a small saucepan. Heat over medium until you see steam and tiny bubbles at the edge. Scalded, not boiled dry. If a skin forms, skim it. That skin is old kitchen memory. Grandmothers lifted it with a spoon. Take it off the heat. Let it cool until it is warm to the wrist. Like a bath you would step into. Too hot kills yeast. Too cold slows everything down. That wrist test protected kitchens long before digital thermometers. About 110 degrees Fahrenheit if you measure. Scalded milk changes the crumb. It warms the flour later. It carries a quiet sweetness. This one step is why church bread tastes like memory, even when you never tasted it as a child. Stir the yeast and 1 tablespoon of the sugar into the warm milk. Wait 5 to 10 minutes. Watch the surface. When it foams like a shallow pond in rain, your yeast is alive. If it does not foam, do not proceed in hope. Start again with fresh yeast and slightly warmer milk. The vault does not waste your afternoon on dead packets from the back of the cupboard. In a large bowl, whisk the flour and salt. Rub in the soft butter with your fingers until the flour looks like fine meal. No big lumps of butter left. Pour the milk and yeast into the center. Stir with a wooden spoon until a shaggy dough forms. It will look rough. Rough is correct. If the dough is dry and shreds, add warm water a tablespoon at a time. If it is wet and sticking like paste, add flour a tablespoon at a time. Adjust in small moves. Bread punishes panic. Turn the dough onto a lightly floured board. Knead 10 to 12 minutes by hand. Push with the heel of your hand. Fold. Turn a quarter. Repeat. Slap the dough if you need to wake it up. Old bakers did, not for drama, but to move air. The dough should become smooth, springy, and only slightly sticky. It should fight you a little, then agree. Add flour a pinch at a time if needed. Never dump half a cup and ruin the balance. This is the work store bread removed from our hands. Feel warmth building in the dough. That warmth is the loaf learning to hold air. Your shoulders may ache. That ache is also part of the recipe. Place the dough in the greased bowl. Turn it once so the top is oiled. Cover with a damp cloth, not a dry towel that steals moisture. Set it in a warm, draft-free place. The turned-off oven with only the light on a sunny table the back of a stove while another pot simmers. Avoid the cold counter beside an air-conditioned window. Dough does not read thermostats, it reads comfort. 1 to 1.5 hours until doubled. In a cold kitchen, it may take longer. Time is not the boss. Size is the boss. While you wait, notice the smell beginning. Already bread. Already home. If you film this for your own memory, film the rise, not your face. The rise is the proof. Gently punch down the dough to deflate, do not punish it. You are removing excess gas, not expressing anger. On a lightly floured board. Pat into a rectangle about 8 inches wide and 12 inches long. Roll tight like a sleeping bag, long edge to long edge. Pinch the seam closed. Pinch the ends. Place seam down in the loaf pan. Tuck the ends under. The pan guides the slice shape your family expects. Square slices for toast, not free-form art. Cover again. 45 to 60 minutes. The dough should crown above the pan rim by about an inch. That crown is your sign. Do not rush this rise for the algorithm. This rise is half the tenderness. If you bake under risen, you get brick. If you overrise and collapse, punch down once, reshape gently, and rise again shorter. The vault forgives 1 mistake, not 3. Heat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, 190 Celsius. Slide the pan into the center rack. Bake 35 to 40 minutes. Rotating once at 20 minutes if your oven browns unevenly. Many old ovens do. The loaf is done when the top is deep golden. The sides pull slightly from the pan, and tapping the bottom sounds hollow. If you use a thermometer, the center should read about 190 Fahrenheit. If the top browns too fast, tent lightly with foil and finish the bake. If the top is pale at 35 minutes, give 5 more minutes. Pale is underbaked, not virtuous. Rest in the pan 10 minutes. Turn out onto a rack. Wait at least 30 minutes before slicing. The crumb is still settling. Steam is still leaving. Grandmothers broke this rule for the first hot heel. Tearing the end off, butter running down the wrist. And you may too. Once. Then let the loaf rest like a person after hard work. When you slice, look at the color, pale gold, close crumb, no factory air tunnels. Thin slices for toast. Thicker slices for soup. Spread butter while warm if you dare. Serve plain beside bean soup. Toast it tomorrow. Cube the stale end for stuffing on Thursday. 1 loaf. 4 meals. That was the math. If it stales hard, grate it for crumbs and freeze the crumbs. The vault does not believe in throwing bread away. Store bread forgot where it came from. This church loaf remembers. Milk, flour, time, and heat. The same contract families made when the world got narrow. We will keep opening the vault 1 page at a time. Next time, we pull another forgotten staple from the garden and the pantry. The foods grandparents grew when the store shelf went empty. If this loaf belongs in your kitchen again, save this page. Bake it this weekend. Tell us how it turned out. Thick slice or thin pan shape, what you served it with. We are Grandma's Food Vault. Before these recipes are lost, we cook them where you can see every step. Thank you for watching. We will see you at the next page.